virus isn't real. The tests just check for the common cold. There is no virus. The entire sequence genome that's been released was completely made up. You calculate all the people in the United States and then the number of people that have died from COVID, you have a 0.000 times a million chance of dying. So if you go out and catch it, then obviously you still have a 0.000 million chance of dying. So obviously it's okay to go out. The virus is nanometers wide. The mask has holes that are bigger than nanometers. That means the virus can go through. It says on the package of the mask, it says it doesn't protect you from COVID. Why would I wear a mask? The CDC just said that a mask doesn't even help you if you're exposed to someone with COVID for a long time. So if I were a nurse and I was working with COVID patients, I wouldn't even wear a mask. It's a conspiracy. I know 25 people that got it and they all are fine. I mean, I haven't actually talked to them, but they're not dead. So obviously. Oh, and totally, don't you understand? Long haul COVID, that's not real. And if it's real, it's only people that have been vaccinated. Look, I believe in the terrain theory. I just control all of the germs and all of the dirt and all of the chemicals and all of the things in my entire environment, including my genes, which I can magically change through my thought power. And so when I do that, I know that I can overcome COVID. So even if I did catch it, I would not be one of those 0.000 in a million people that still only die when they even catch it, because that's what statistics are. Because I would use vitamin C until I shit my brains out. Duh. Of course it's a bioweapon, but their science is so crappy, it doesn't even work. It's not even a good bioweapon. The vaccine is going to genetically mutate you. Oh yeah, but the bioweapon, an RNA virus, it's not even gonna affect you. Just take some elderberry. It'll be fine. We all know that vaccines cause these diseases, okay? We know that. But I'll tell you what else we know. We know that these diseases aren't actually real. They're just your immune system's response to dirt and stress. So even though they're vaccinating us against these diseases that don't actually exist, we're actually getting sick from the actual vaccine, but it's not the disease in the vaccine that makes us sick, it's all the other stuff, okay? And then the actual viruses aren't actually real. And so you can't actually catch something from breathing it in. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist at all. There's no such thing as a thing that you can breathe in. But the flu mist, the one that you breathe in, that's bad. Because you can catch vaccines from that, but not a germ, okay? Because it's not a real germ, okay? It's not real. It's all a lie. The tests are a lie. It's all. Let me explain it to you. They made up this virus because they just want you to stay at your house, okay? But that's not really the plan. The plan? They haven't released the real virus. Okay, see, here's what's happening. This is a fake virus. That's not real. Everyone that's died just died of the flu or a car accident, but not COVID, because it's not real. But their secret plan is to lock you in your house so that they can vaccinate you, which is what's going to make you sick. But while you're in your house, they're installing 5G outside everywhere, okay? So that when you do leave your house, you're gonna get microwaved, because there's no 5G for your home unless you buy a special phone. But what you need to do is you have to defy the orders and go outside into the 5G microwaves. Because then that's letting them know who's boss, okay? And then what's gonna happen is they're gonna put in a second lockdown, and they're gonna blame the 5G microwaves that we actually walked straight into because they exist, and we acknowledge that, but we don't wanna stay in our house where we're safe from them. We wanna walk out into them because that makes total sense. And then we're gonna make sure we have the best, newest phones so that we can keep in contact with each other. But that's not gonna make us sick from the 5G. It's the vaccines and the 5G, and that's what's going to make us sick. But in actuality, they're gonna release the real bioweapon later. Okay, that's what's really gonna happen. So what you have to do is you have to defy the orders. Don't wear a mask, because this virus isn't real. And even if it were real, you can't catch it through your breath. That's ridiculous. All those measles parties we went to, we know we had to inject each other's measles into our other kids before they could catch the measles. We had to. There's no such thing as a virus that you catch through your nose or your mouth. Duh. So even if it were real, we wouldn't catch it that way. We would only catch it from the 5G that they are actually installing everywhere. Check it out. And when it starts to microwave us, they're gonna pretend like it was the COVID. But then the real COVID is gonna come down, and it's gonna get way worse when the real COVID gets here. Later, but not now. That's definitely not what's happening now. But it is gonna happen later because they suck at making this COVID, because obviously it doesn't work and you can only get injected with it. But they don't suck. They don't suck at making it later, but not now. Okay? That's how this is gonna go down. Okay? Now you know. And make sure you give me money on Patreon and GoFundMe. And make sure you share and subscribe. And make sure you don't wear a mask when you go outside. And defy all the orders. Because this isn't a real virus. It's only going to be real later by the controllers. I'm going to put this on some other website that I'm not even going to tell you so that you don't know when you find it. Yeah.